We are still, I'm in the last chapter of Philippians, and I'm soaking it for all it's worth. I'm going to take a few of these verses here. In chapter 4, we're going to read verses 2 through 5. Now, I appeal to you, Euodia and Syntyche, please, because you belong to the Lord, settle your disagreement. And I ask you, my true partner, to help these two women, for they worked hard with me in telling others the good news. They worked along with Clement and the rest of our co-workers whose names are written in the book of life. Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. Let everyone see that you are considerate in all that you do. Remember, the Lord is coming. So, we all get along here, right? Never a disagreement, never a problem. How many, I'm going to see if anyone's honest here. Well, I'm not saying you're dishonest. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, these are things that you don't necessarily have to answer if you don't want to, because it might be uncomfortable. But how many, when the thought of church, and maybe not so much this church, but the thought of church is kind of scary because you know potentially what can happen when you get involved in church? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's certain amount of personality issues. There's certain amount of political issues within a congregation. There's all these things can really create a lot of stress and a lot of problems. And to top it off, we're Christian, so we should know better. Right? Because when you come to church, part of the reason why you come to church is because they're all good people, right? They're Christians. When I was in high school, and I'd gotten into a little bit of trouble, I was the youngest of four. My sisters were, goody-goodies. If you guys are watching, you know it was true. And then my brother carved a path for me, because as many of you know, he was like the Tasmanian devil. And he would go to Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher would quit. He would go to class, and the class was constantly calling my parents. That was just the way he was wired. And then I was born, and I am super compliant. It's my nature. I'm a people pleaser by nature. Brooklyn cured me of a lot of that. But I got in a little bit of trouble because I was tired of being home alone, eating Doritos, watching Dukes of Hazzard on a Friday night. And my brother's like, dude, why don't you just come out with me? I'm like, yeah, what can it hurt? So we'd go out, and they'd be drinking and smoking, and I would carry a beer with me as a 14-year-old. Didn't drink it because I thought it was nasty. But I just carry it so people thought I looked like I was participating because I wanted to be accepted. And then, I saw some friends, man, and you start experimenting a little bit, and you dab a little bit in there. You might drink a little bit of that, and you might smoke a little bit of this. And then my mom and my parents, they were struggling with my brother because he was just like the maniac, I remember one time he got drunk. He was 16 years old, and we had two different attics in our home. And one of them was behind the closet of my sister's room. And there was this little tiny door. And he had crawled in there and went way back. And my mom was like one of those people who was really good at finding everything. I've inherited some of that. I'm like the Hardy Boys. That's a mystery. I'm going to find out, right? And I remember she couldn't find him, and it scared her to death until the next morning when he crawled out of that. He had all that horsehair kind of stuff on him from the attic, the insulation, and he's kind of coughing because he just went up there and fell asleep. And my mother looked at me and said, if you ever, do that. And I'm like, too late. So she had some plans for me, and it was like, we had the church we were going to started up this academy. And there was 10 students, and she's like, I want you to start going to school here. And I'm like, no way, Ma. I'm compliant, but I'm not going to a school with 10 people. And she's like, well, it's either that or the school I ended up going to, which was a boarding school. And I thought, well, this will actually be really good. You know why it's going to be so great? It's because there's a bunch of Christian teenagers. Like, can you imagine going to school with a bunch of Christian young people? Everybody wants to do the same thing, just love God. And I'm just like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to, this is a great idea. I'm going to be living with people, with kids like my age. And we're going to have fun, but it's going to be wholesome, right? Because they're all Christian. And I got there. And I find out, you see, because everybody was going there to be reformed. Everybody was there seen because they were all in trouble. And so they're all really good at sneaking around and doing stuff. And I'm like, really? Like, hey, man, you smoked some of that before, right, man? I'm like, well, maybe, but yeah, man, I guess then we want to go in the back. And I'm like, I'm not going to get expelled for doing no way. And sure enough, they all got caught, got expelled. Yeah, I'm cool, I'm pretty cool. I got expelled from incredibly strict. I mean, how much character does it take to get expelled from a school like that? Not much. I mean, it's like to stay in there and make it work. Now that can create PTSD. Okay, I'm just saying. And it's like you come to a church and you're thinking, this is going to be great because people are going to be, excited for me that I'm here, first and foremost. And then once I start to get to know them, and I can be a knucklehead like anybody else, and I can be a bit, abrasive or maybe sarcastic, or maybe I make fun of people at their own expense. I don't know. But they're going to love me because they're Christian, right? That's what we do. We just love everybody and accept everybody, no matter what. So how has that been going for all of you as you experience church in various places and different times in your life? It's not really what always happens, is it? See, because there's this expectation that we perform a certain way. There's an expectation that we look a certain way. And there's an expectation that if you really want, so you start out here, down to bottom level. Just, that's where we all start. If you want to be involved in the church, start down here. You got to take Christianity 101. You got to take what it means to be a church member 101, and you got to take this other class 101. And then once you accomplish that and you pass that, then we get to 102. You're a little bit closer to that lofty area where the angels sing when you walk into the church. That's what happens. You not experience that? Every morning, every Sunday morning I walk in, it's like, oh. No. And you're like, wait, okay, so I don't mind going to a Bible study or something like that, but the thing is you can't go any further unless you be what we want you to be, unless you become what we want you to become. And then it's like we have all these little idiosyncrasies in our own personality, and some of us are super easy to like. We smile, we're friendly, we're like, oh my God, you look so good today. Oh, you're beautiful. And others of us are like, hey, good morning. Morning. How's it going? Never mind. Because they just start to get geared up. You see, because I remember one person in particular, several years ago. Every time I asked them how they're doing, it's like, it's just like they've been sucking on lemons, man. And I'm like, Lord, help me to love this person. Give me the ability to love this person. Give me the ability to be what that person needs me to be for them. Because what all of us do is we tend to respond to people the way that they respond to us. Tend to. I'm not saying it's always the case. Here are two ladies in this church, Erodi and Syntyche. And they had been involved with Paul, preaching the gospel and doing amazing things in ministry. And then this church is formed, and they get together, and now they are at odds. They did all this really cool stuff, and they were like preaching and teaching and sharing the good news of who Jesus is, and it's life-changing. And yet something dumb got in there and just started, like the way I was trying to help her set a table. And she didn't like where I put the salt and pepper. So she moved. Isn't it amazing how often it's some of the most silly things that tick us off? And so I moved it back. And then she noticed that, and then she's like, oh, really? And then she moved it back. And I said, I know, we'll compromise. I put the salt here and then the pepper there. No, they got to be together. Wait, who's in charge here, by the way? I am. I'm the one, Paul said, to be in charge. I know where the salt and pepper goes. I know exactly where that goes. Syntyche is a moron. It's like, what is wrong with her? Why can't she just listen? I'm the one that's in charge. What is she just too? And then it's like you walk away angry. But there's a principle. It's like, Lord, help me. I mean, we did rehearsal today. Bill, thank you for being so willing to adjust to me, because I'm not a musician, he is. But I'm like, okay, this is how I like to do it. This is, and it's like, or whatever. It's like all cockeyed and weird and stuff. And he's just like, okay, we're going to do this. Yeah. I guess I get paid for it, right? But I'm confident, and I don't know. I've never asked him. I don't really want to hear it. But I'm confident he's thinking, what is he doing? Right? And this is the thing that all of us, as we work together, you see, because the thing is, this church isn't supposed to just be something you go to once a week, when you walk away from. That's not what the congregation is supposed to be. That's what this building that we know as, in today's world, as a church. See, it was never that way before. It was just people's homes and stuff they would gather in. It wasn't like a building that they had designated as a church. It wasn't like that. Church was just a word that meant congregation, is the people. The people are the church. Now, we're blessed to have a building that we don't have to pay for. I mean, we got to heat it and pay electric and all that kind of stuff. But, so we're inside and warm, and we don't get rained on, and, thank God for that. But this isn't the church. We are. So when you start thinking about, okay, so what does it mean to go to church? It's like, no, what does it mean to be the church? This is the whole idea behind this thing I've been doing for the last 8 weeks, 9 weeks. It's being the church. You don't be a building, you be a congregation, you be people. And it's like, so what does it mean for me to be the church when I come in? Do we come in with the ideas like, man, I hope Yodia is nice to me today. I hope that someone, when I go downstairs, talks to me. No one doesn't always talk to me. I hope somebody says something pleasant to me, or maybe they'll remember that I've been here for 15 years. Say congratulations. Maybe someone will do that for me. Or do we walk in and say, God, how can I be a blessing to somebody? Help me to be able to speak to somebody, to say something encouraging that they need. I don't know what people need, but Lord, help me to be dialoguing. Help me to be open. Help me not to be thinking just about how this affects me, but how I can affect in a positive way everybody who's around me. So that when people see you coming, they're like, oh, it's so great because at least I know someone will talk to me today, right? And then they're saying, oh, good, at least I know someone is going to talk to me. Because we're not just sitting there waiting for everything to happen. And I know we all have different personalities. I remember when I was in youth ministry, there was these twin boys, and I know that they were very smart. Parents told me. Very intelligent kids, and they're just a little awkward. So I go up to them and say, "Hey, what's up, guys?" I'm like, "Hey, guys, how's it going?" I mean, nothing. I'd put my hand out to shake, and their parents would be standing there, and they're just like, "Yeah, they're smart." That's not acceptable. You learn how to say hi to somebody, right? When someone reaches you, learn how to shake their hand, for Pete's sake. I mean, shake it, don't wait for me to kiss it. Just shake it, you know. But this is what we have to be clued into. How do I be a congregant? How do I be the church? How do I go in and think about it? And when someone says something that's hurtful, and it will happen, 99% of the time it's not intentional. But someone will say something, and maybe they're trying to be funny or something, and it hurts your feelings. Well, that person's on my do-do list. Did you say something to him? No, I mean, no, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It sounds like it's a big deal. Well, no, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's just big enough to make me angry with them for maybe a couple of years. I don't know. I won't speak to them when I see them in the store. I'm going to run the other way. If I see them at church, I'm going up in a little later to see where they're sitting, so I'll sit on the other side. No, it's not the way it's supposed to be. So when someone says something that's hurtful, you're just like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" Oh, this is hard to do. This is so hard to do. It takes such humility to go to someone and say, "Listen, I know you probably didn't mean this, but what you said really hurt my feelings, and I just want you to know that because I don't want that to be between us." Those words are the sweet nectar that grows a relationship. Those were that humility to go to someone and say, "You hurt my feelings," because you don't know how they're going to respond, because of some people, their response is, "Oh, well, I was just joking." Well, I know you were joking, but I'm saying it hurt my feelings. Well, if you're that sensitive, okay, I might be sensitive, but I want to tell you it hurt my feelings. Can we, well, I mean, it's just the way I am. Love it or leave it. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it. And then it starts. And God says, listen, the scripture says, do everything in your power to get along with people. But there are times when you cannot. It's rare. It's very rare when someone is so egotistical, so probably hurt down deeply, that they can't talk about any of it. But they don't want to deal with anything. And so what they do is they clam up. And if you don't like the way they are, then tough. And that's just a shell. That's just an exterior. That's just a facade. It's not real. They're not that tough. What they're trying to do is protect themselves from the hurts and the pains. And so they put on this iron shell. And they just peek through because they are so scared of being hurt. And we say, okay, Lord, how do I break down the barrier? How do I love a person enough to be able to say, well, I just want you to know that it hurt my feelings, but I still love you? That's hard. But this is what God's calling us to do. People hurt us. Absolutely they hurt us. But God needs to be in the center of our heart. He needs to be one that's on that throne, not us. When we sit on the throne, I mean, it feels pretty good for a little bit, right? I'm the king of my domain, baby. I'm the one in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my destiny. I'm in charge of all things that I'm in charge of. And then as soon as one little thing happens, we whimper away. We cower in the shadows. And God's like, put me on the throne of your heart. Because then it won't matter. trust is something that has to be built, right? Now, we choose to trust a certain amount at first. Okay, I'm going to trust you on this. But I want you to know I've been hurt. Some of us go in those relationships, maybe the romantic kind. And you've been through several. And those things, there's been hurts, there's been cuts in your life. And you're like, okay, I'm going to choose to trust you, kinda. Because I've learned not to put myself all out there. That's a good thing, right? You don't just let someone have your heart. Why? Because they're human. And they're sinful. And they don't always know how to handle another person's heart. I tell this to young people all the time. The idea of dating today, it's just like it's weird. It's like, listen, don't get romantically involved in someone until you, because you don't, okay. Let me say it this way. One of them will be like, oh, finally I found someone who likes me. And I really like them. And so they take their heart, not literally, but they take their heart and they say, here, I want you to have my heart because I think I love you. And the other person's like, can I kiss you? Yes. Can I just take my heart? And the other person takes the heart and they're like, doop, 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 doop. They don't know what to do with it. They drop it, they toss it, they throw it, and this person's like, oh, the other person's like, ow, that hurts. And you're like, oh, I hurt you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. This other person gave me their heart too, so now I'm juggling a couple different hearts. This is fun, I like this. And each one of them like, ow, 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 ow. Like, you stink, man, you're no good at this. And the other person's like, I never said I was. You see, because what you got to do is you got to wait. You got to build trust. And that takes time. That takes years. That takes experience. You know what I mean? We got to mature. We got to be able to know what it means to be loving and kind and generous and all those things. And so when we get into these things, in these relationships that we have today, and I've been through I've given my heart to so many. And God's like, well, what you need to do is give me your heart completely. You see, until you relent and give me your heart, I'll protect it. You see, so that when you're in a situation, I'm going to be whispering in your ear, not yet. Not this one. They're good, but not this one. Share a little, but don't share too much. Because this person isn't able yet. They haven't learned how to keep a secret. You know what it's like when you go to a Bible study and you're sharing things and then someone finds out what you shared and you're like, wait a second, who told? Oh, I can't really say. I can't tell you who told me this. Well, it's confidential. You're talking about me, And it's like, so what do we do with that? It's like, well, then if someone told you something in confidence and it's like, listen, you got to either talk to this person or I'm going to have to talk to this person. You see, things are complicated, right? Are you following where I'm at right now? Relationships are incredibly complicated. They're difficult, nearly impossible. I think they are impossible until God becomes the center of our lives. So when someone hurts us, it's like, something? It won't be the first time, it won't be the last time, but God is protecting my heart. I'm not just throwing it out there for everybody. I give it to God. So I trust God first and foremost, so that when I decide to trust someone who isn't 100% trustworthy, which none of us are 100% trustworthy, because we don't even know. We have no idea that what I'm about to say right now is going to hurt somebody because of something they've experienced. I don't know that. I'm not doing it maliciously, and most people don't. They're just doing their job. They're just being themselves. They're just, oh man, I'm just trying to set a table. And this is, It's like, God, help me to respond the right way. You see, when I bring it, it's in the Bible study, we're talking about joy. There was that kid's song, J-O-Y, or was it in church? You guys, I don't know. I'm not paying attention. So, no, it's like J-O-Y. It was a song, J-O-Y, J-O-Y. This must surely mean Jesus first, yourselves last, and others in between. That's how we have joy, right? Jesus first, yourself last, and others in between. That's how you experience joy, by putting others before yourself and putting God in first place. See, when you do that, you have a trust in God, because God says, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will never hurt you. And people will. But you can forgive. Why? Because I have forgiven you of everything. I hold nothing to your account when you become one of my children. I don't care what you've done. I don't care how you've behaved. I love you unconditionally. And that love for you is going to protect you from all the humans out there that still have selfishness, just like you do. Now you go to me, I will protect your heart, and you trust me inherently and completely 100% of the time, because I have your heart. And you give bits and pieces, and even with your spouse, it's like you have to put God before your spouse. You have to put God before your children. God, because God's the one who is going to protect them and you. God is going to protect your spouse and your children and yourself and all of that. He's working in all of us this way. But you have to put God first. And then we can start to trust people in a way that when they break that trust in whatever way they do, it doesn't destroy us. Of course it's still going to hurt. If someone blindsides you and punches you in the gut, even a big guy like me, it's going to hurt. I'm going to be like, oof. My Mikey did that with me. My grandson elbowed me in the gut. Wasn't expecting it. Punk. No, he wasn't doing it intentionally. It was just like we were playing, and all of a sudden it was like, boom. I was like, oh, man, it took me a second, right? So when people do things, it's going to take a second. But I didn't rear up and grab him and throw him. I mean, maybe I wanted to, but I didn't. No, because it's like, no, okay. All right, because he's like, oh, sorry, Poppy. It's like, no, it's okay. We're playing, clearly. When someone hurts you, and then it's like, but Mikey, you got to be careful. Because sometimes you think Poppy is indestructible. So you'll take something and then you'll hit him when he's not expecting it. And that's not cool, right? Because I try to help him understand that. And that's what we have to do with each other. It's like we might just be playing, but it still can hurt. We might just be trying to I don't know, do something. And I don't mean to be curt. I'm not trying to be all in someone's face. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to express whatever instruction there is or whatever it is. So evidently this right here does some in weird things at times, and I look a certain way. I don't know. What do I look like right now? Does it look like I'm confused? Does it look like I'm angry? I don't know. No, I mean, it's like we can have expressions, and people read everything. It's not just words. It's how you say it and the face you have and all of that stuff. And it's like, I don't know what to do with that. Just ask me, right? Just ask. I'm sorry. I'll apologize. I didn't mean to. Seriously, I didn't mean to. I've had people walk out of my life. I still today don't know why. I have no idea, because they will not speak. It's like, God, bring someone into their life to bridge this gap. Do something in someone's life. Help someone to love them enough to speak to their life, because something's going on there, and it's not me. If you cannot forgive, there's something going on with you. And it's the trusting of God that you refuse to forgive. We pray every Sunday, forgive us of our sins, our trespasses, as we forgive others who trespass against us, who sin against us. Forgive us as we forgive others. You can't do that without trust. And it's got to come from God first and foremost. And then Paul says to rejoice. Again, I say rejoice in the Lord, because he is the one who's protecting you. He's the one that loves you without condition. Who cares what other people think? That's what God thinks. Who cares how people respond and how you look in front of people? How do you look in front of God? He's got a spotlight on you saying, you are amazing. You are my beloved child, and I love you without condition. So who cares what else is going on? You're my child, whom I love and adore. And nothing will ever separate that. All right, let's pray.